From the moment Margot pushed the brown envelope across the dinner table, Layla felt something was wrong. "This is Ethan's house, and you'll leave with nothing," Margot said with a proud smile. Her voice was cold. Layla's heart sank. This wasn't just a legal talk, it was a warning. Margot didn't see her as family. She saw her as a threat. And Ethan, the man Layla loved, just sat there in silence. He didn't defend her. He didn't say a word. Layla looked at the envelope. It was a prenuptial agreement. If the marriage ended, she would walk away with nothing. Margot wanted to make sure of that. Layla's hands shook. She wanted to cry, to ask why, but instead, she smiled weakly, took the pen, and signed. Not because she agreed, but because she loved Ethan and hoped things would get better. The room was quiet. No hugs, no smiles, no words of kindness. Just Margot, looking proud of herself, like she had won. Layla looked at Ethan, hoping for some comfort, but he still didn't speak. In that moment, she felt completely alone. That night, Layla couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Margot's voice and that smile. This wasn't just about money. It was about control. Margot didn't want her in their world. And worse, Ethan didn't stop her. Layla tried to stay strong. She told herself love would fix things, but deep inside, a small voice whispered something else. This was just the beginning. And one day, Margot would regret ever underestimating her. Layla had built her life with hard work and quiet strength. She lived in San Diego, in a cozy apartment not far from the beach, and worked as a software engineer. She loved her job. It paid well, gave her freedom, and allowed her to live comfortably. Layla wasn't rich, but she had savings, a steady career, and a simple, peaceful life that she was proud of. When she met Ethan, things felt magical at first. He was charming, funny, and seemed to love her deeply. They met at a tech event, and from their first conversation, Ethan had been warm and full of compliments. Layla felt seen, admired, and cherished. She thought she had finally found someone who appreciated her for who she was. But there was something about Ethan's world that felt very different from hers. He didn't talk much about work. In fact, he didn't work at all. His life was full of expensive things, fancy clothes, a big house, luxury vacations, and it became clear that all of it was paid for by his mother, Margot. Margot was a powerful woman. She owned a big real estate company and was known for being tough in business. From the very beginning, Layla noticed that Margot made most of the decisions in Ethan's life. She gave him money, told him what to do, and even decided where he should live. Ethan didn't seem to mind. He was used to it. He had grown up spoiled, always having whatever he wanted without needing to earn it. At first, Layla didn't say anything. She didn't want to judge. Every family was different, she thought. But sometimes, when she saw how Ethan looked to Margot for approval, before making even small choices, a little worry crept into her heart. Still, Layla focused on the good. She loved Ethan, and she believed love could overcome anything. She told herself that their life together would be a balance. Her hard work and independence matched with his big heart and fun spirit. It seemed like the perfect beginning, but Layla didn't know yet just how much power Margot had in their lives, or how deeply that power would affect her future. When Layla and Ethan first started dating, everything felt exciting. They went on long walks by the beach, shared meals at cozy restaurants, and laughed late into the night. But as things got more serious, Layla began to feel a quiet tension growing, especially when Ethan's mother Margot never said anything rude directly, but her words always carried a quiet sting. She would ask Layla strange questions like, "Do your parents still live in that small town?" Or say things like, "It's nice that you enjoy working with computers. Some people just aren't made for business." Every time they met, there was a look in Margot's eyes, as if she was studying Layla and always finding her not quite good enough. Layla tried to stay polite. She smiled, nodded, and gave Margot the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was just protective of her son. Maybe she needed time to warm up. But deep down, Layla felt judged for her background, for her career, and even for her simple way of living. She came from a modest, hard-working family. She had earned everything she had, but Margot didn't seem to respect that. Whenever Layla tried to talk to Ethan about it, he would brush it off. "That's just how she is," he'd say with a shrug. "She'll come around. I love you, not what she thinks." Layla wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that love was enough. So when Ethan proposed, she said yes, holding on to hope and ignoring the uneasy feeling in her heart. But then came the prenup. At a dinner meeting with Margot, she was handed the papers with a cold smile and a simple message. "This is Ethan's house, and you'll leave with nothing." That moment hit Layla like a wave. It wasn't just a legal document. It was Margot's way of showing power, of making sure Layla knew her place. Ethan said nothing. He just sat there, quiet, like a little boy afraid to speak against his mother. Layla, heart aching, signed the papers. She told herself it didn't matter. She had her own job, her own money, and she was marrying for love. But the truth was, something shifted that night. The distance between her and Margot became clear, and it would only grow. The first year of Layla and Ethan's marriage felt like a dream. They traveled, decorated their home together, and spent cozy evenings watching movies. Layla thought they were building something strong, something real. She worked during the day while Ethan mostly stayed home or went out with friends. At first, it didn't bother her. She was happy to carry the weight. She believed in the partnership, but slowly, things began to change. By the second year, Ethan wasn't the same. He started talking differently, more demanding, more entitled. He would say things like, "Do you really need to wear that?" Or, "Maybe you should think about Botox before your next birthday." He said it like a joke, but it hurt. These weren't the words of the man who once adored her. They were the kind of comments Layla had heard from one person before, Margot. Ethan also began reminding her that he handled the house and took care of things, even though Layla was the one working full-time. His tone had changed, and so had his attitude. He started acting like he deserved more attention, more respect, more control. It felt like Margot's voice was coming out of Ethan's mouth, and that scared Layla. Then came the visits. Margot would show up without calling, walking into their home like it belonged to her. She moved things around, criticized Layla's taste, and once even replaced the curtains Layla had picked out, without asking. When Layla said something, Margot would laugh and say, "Relax, dear, I'm just helping." But it never felt like help. It felt like control. Margot would make little comments in front of Ethan, like, "I told you she'd be too busy working to keep the house looking nice." And Ethan would stay silent. Sometimes, he would even agree with her. Layla began to feel like a stranger in her own home. The love and respect that once filled the space had started to vanish, and in their place were sharp words, cold silences, and constant judgment. Every day, it felt like she was being pushed a little further out, while Margot pulled Ethan closer in. Layla still hoped things would get better, but deep down, she was starting to realize the cracks in her marriage weren't small, they were growing. It started with a letter. Layla's uncle, her mother's older brother, had passed away. They hadn't spoken in years. He'd lived a quiet life, far away from family drama, and Layla had only seen him a few times as a child. But now, out of nowhere, he had left her everything. The letter said it clearly, $22 million, left in trust to Layla alone. Layla was stunned. For hours, she just sat on the edge of her bed, reading and rereading the lawyer's message. It didn't feel real. This kind of thing didn't happen to people like her. She was still grieving the loss of a distant family member, but what followed made her feel even more uneasy. The moment Ethan heard the news, he didn't even say, "I'm sorry." His first words were, "Wait, how much?" His eyes lit up like a child who had found a pile of candy. He started asking questions, fast. Where was the money? When would they get it? What would they do with it? He said "we" over and over again, but Layla noticed something shift in that moment. The man who once held her hand during tough times was now counting dollars in his head. Then came Margot. The woman who had always treated Layla like a guest in her own marriage suddenly changed her tone. She called Layla dear, invited her to lunch, and even complimented her dress. "You've really made something of yourself," she said with a sweet smile Layla had never seen before. She spoke about how proud she was to have a smart, beautiful daughter-in-law. The woman who once gave her cold stares and backhanded insults now wanted to hold hands across the table. But Layla wasn't fooled. She saw through it. She knew exactly what was happening. The money had flipped a switch. They didn't see her as Layla anymore. They saw her as a bank account. So Layla smiled, nodded, and said nothing. She didn't argue. She didn't ask questions. But inside, something new had sparked. A quiet strength. A plan. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she had the upper hand. And this time, she wasn't going to waste it. Layla didn't waste time. As soon as the smiles from Ethan and Margot started to feel too wide, too fake, she made a quiet decision. She needed to protect herself. No loud fights, no big warnings, just action. She called a lawyer, one that came highly recommended by a friend who had been through something similar. The meeting was calm and private. Layla shared everything, the prenup, her inheritance, and the sudden shift in her husband's behavior. The lawyer took her time going through the documents, page by page. Then she looked up at Layla and said, "Good news. The prenup only protects Ethan's premarital assets. It doesn't give him any claim to what you received after the marriage, especially since it was an inheritance left solely to you." Layla felt a quiet sense of relief. For once, something was working in her favor. The lawyer helped her open a separate account under her own name, one that neither Ethan nor Margot could touch. Slowly, carefully, Layla began moving her inheritance over, making sure everything was secure and hidden. She didn't tell Ethan a thing. From the outside, nothing changed. She still came home on time. She still cooked dinner, still smiled when Margot showed up with her fake kindness. But behind closed doors, Layla was making moves. She found a beachfront property in La Jolla, private, peaceful, and far away from Margot's reach. She bought it in full, using her own name. No joint accounts, no shared titles. Each day she packed small things, a book, a favorite mug, family photos, things Ethan wouldn't notice missing. She moved them slowly to her new home. It wasn't running away, it was preparing for freedom. She kept working, kept saving, kept pretending, but her heart was no longer in the house she once called home. That house now felt like a stage. And Layla, she was done playing the quiet, obedient wife. She didn't know the exact day she'd leave yet, but she would. When the time was right, she'd walk away from it all, with her money, her pride, and her power intact. And this time, Margot wouldn't see it coming. Ethan starts acting sketchy again, hinting at spending her money. He brings up strange business ideas at the dinner table, talks about opportunities that can't wait, and even suggests they should merge their finances now that they're a team. But Layla knows better. His sudden interest in her money feels like a warning bell ringing louder each day. One evening, he casually says, "Babe, maybe we should talk about moving some of that inheritance around. Mum has a great investment opportunity for us." Layla just nods, pretending to think about it. Inside, her heart turns cold. She knows he's planning something, and it's not in her best interest. Soon after, the truth comes to light. Ethan leaves his phone unlocked while he steps into the shower. Layla, curious and suspicious, checks it. What she finds makes her stomach turn. There are dozens of messages from someone named Lucy. Sweet texts, flirty photos, even voice notes where Ethan calls her baby. They've been seeing each other for months. Layla realizes this isn't just a small mistake, it's betrayal. But she doesn't cry. Not this time. She takes screenshots of everything, sends them to her email, and puts his phone right back where it was. The next morning, she calls her lawyer and says, "I need a private investigator." Within days, she has all the proof she needs. The PI follows Ethan and gets pictures of him and Lucy holding hands, kissing at restaurants, and checking into hotels. It hurts, but it also helps. Layla feels stronger with every report, and still, she says nothing. She makes his favorite meals, listens to him talk about investing her money, and even smiles when Margot praises her for being so calm and supportive. But behind that calm smile, Layla is planning. Every move is now part of her endgame. She has the house, the money, the proof, and a quiet fire inside her heart. She's done being silent, done being small. She's not going to beg, scream, or fight. When she leaves, it will be smart, clean, and final. Ethan won't see it coming. And Margot, she'll be just as shocked. Layla is ready. The game is almost over, and she holds every card. Ethan casually discusses investing Layla's money into his mum's company, as if it's the most normal thing in the world. Mum says now is the perfect time to scale, he says, while scrolling through his phone. If we put in a few million, the returns will be massive. She'll make sure we're all set for life. He doesn't ask Layla, he just assumes. He speaks like the money is already his. Layla sits across from him at the dining table, quiet. Her face gives away nothing. She listens carefully, letting him talk. Ethan, confident and arrogant, continues. "We should stop holding back. You've been playing it safe. Let's be bold, babe." She reaches into her bag and pulls out a folder. Calmly, she lays it on the table and slides it toward him. "What's this?" he asks, frowning. "Divorce papers," she replies. At first he laughs, thinking she's joking. "You're funny," he smirks. But when she doesn't laugh, His smile fades. He opens the folder slowly, flipping through the pages. His eyes start moving faster, his fingers shaking slightly. "Wait, what is this?" he asks again, but now there's confusion in his voice. Layla gently points to a highlighted section in the document. "This clause," she says, "it's from the prenup your mother gave me. It says you leave with nothing, not a cent of my inheritance, not a part of the house, not even the car." Ethan's face turns pale. He reads it again, this time slower, trying to find a loophole, but there isn't one. His voice becomes shaky. "You can't be serious." "I am," Layla says quietly. He starts to raise his voice, asking if she's lost her mind, blaming stress, even bringing up their history together. But Layla remains calm. "You made your choices," she says. "I'm making mine now." For the first time, Ethan realizes he's not in control. He looks at her, stunned, as if seeing a different woman for the first time. The power he used to have over her is gone. There's no begging, no yelling, just silence between them and the weight of what's coming. This time, Layla doesn't walk away crying. She walks away free. Margot calls Layla, furious. "You'll regret this!" Her voice is sharp, shaking with rage. "How dare you embarrass my son like this, after everything we did for you?" But Layla doesn't flinch. She holds the phone steady, her voice calm and steady. "I'm not scared of you anymore, Margot," she says. "You should have thought about the consequences before trying to control my life." Margot hangs up in anger, but she's not done. Within days, Layla receives a legal notice. Margot and Ethan are trying to contest the prenup. They claim it was signed under pressure, that Layla didn't fully understand it. Margot hires top lawyers, ready to crush Layla in court. But Layla is already 10 steps ahead. She expected this. She has every document, every email, every signature lined up. She meets her lawyer with a calm face and a thick folder of evidence. Her legal team is strong and confident. They've studied the prenup closely and know it's airtight. The court date arrives, and the courtroom is tense. Ethan sits beside his mother, both of them looking nervous but pretending to be confident. Layla walks in alone, dressed simply, with quiet strength in her steps. She doesn't look like someone desperate or broken. She looks like someone who's already won. As the hearing begins, Margot's lawyer makes bold claims. They paint Layla as a manipulator who tricked Ethan. But when Layla's lawyer speaks, everything changes. He calmly presents evidence, emails between Margot and her lawyer, discussing how to make the prenup harsh, proof that Layla had her own legal counsel, video footage of the dinner meeting where Margot handed over the envelope, and then comes the final blow. A forensic accountant hired by Layla reveals hidden funds and shady deals inside Margot's real estate company, tax fraud, unreported earnings, money hidden in foreign accounts. The courtroom goes silent. Margot's face loses all colour. The judge refuses to cancel the prenup. Instead, he opens an investigation into Margot's business practices. Layla walks out of the courtroom with her head held high, while Margot and Ethan are left in chaos. For years, they thought Layla was weak, easy to control. But now, they see the truth. She's stronger than they ever imagined. In court, Layla's lawyer brings a forensic accountant, a quiet man in glasses, holding a thick folder filled with documents. The courtroom, already tense, grows silent as he steps up to testify. Margot straightens in her seat, trying to look confident, but her eyes dart toward Ethan. Layla sits calmly, her hands folded in her lap. The accountant speaks clearly and with evidence. He shows bank records, fake invoices, and hidden transfers. Slide after slide reveals how Margot's real estate company has been hiding money for years. Unreported income, offshore accounts, fake employee payments. The courtroom watches in stunned silence as the accountant explains how millions have been moved around illegally. Margot's face begins to twitch. Ethan leans forward, confused, as if hearing all of this for the first time. Layla doesn't look at either of them. Her eyes stay on the judge. The judge, clearly disturbed, asks a few sharp questions. The answers are all backed by documents, signatures, receipts, spreadsheets. Margot's lawyer tries to object, but the accountant calmly responds with more proof. There's no way out. Layla's lawyer ends with a firm statement. "Not only is the prenup valid, Your Honor, but my client has also uncovered serious financial crimes." The judge nods slowly. "The court finds no reason to nullify the prenuptial agreement," he says. "It was signed knowingly. and both parties had legal counsel. Furthermore, the financial evidence presented today will be handed to federal authorities for further investigation. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Margot lowers her head. Ethan stares at the table, pale and speechless. Layla stands quietly and gathers her things. She doesn't smile. She doesn't gloat, but there is peace in her eyes. Outside the courtroom, reporters are already gathering. Margot's empire, the one she built to control everything, is about to crumble. Ethan, once the spoiled son protected by his mother's power, now stands on the edge of ruin. Layla walks past them both without a word. She came in with truth. She's leaving with freedom. And behind her, the walls that Margot built with arrogance, greed, and pride, they're falling fast. Ethan is implicated in fraudulent activities. The news breaks quietly at first. Reports of investigations, sealed indictments, subpoenas. But soon, the story spreads like wildfire. The once proud heir to a vast real estate empire is now tangled in legal troubles. Federal agents raid Margot's company offices searching for more evidence. Ethan's name appears on documents linked to money laundering and tax evasion. His involvement, whether active or passive, is undeniable. Margot's empire, built over decades, begins to crumble. Properties are frozen, bank accounts seized, contracts put on hold. The company's reputation, once impeccable, is shattered by scandal. Investors pull out, partners distance themselves, and clients cancel deals. Margot, who controlled everything with an iron fist, suddenly finds herself powerless. Her wealth is locked away, and she is forced to answer uncomfortable questions from authorities and the media. Ethan, once spoiled and entitled, faces the harsh reality of his choices. The luxuries he took for granted, cars, designer clothes, lavish parties, fade into memories. Credit cards are cancelled, his name blacklisted in business circles. He is overwhelmed by lawsuits and mounting debts. The pride he showed in front of Layla now feels like a distant mask. Meanwhile, Layla watches from afar, calm and steady. She is free. The money she inherited, kept safely in her own name, remains untouched. Her investments are secure, and her new beachfront home stands as a symbol of her independence and hard work. No longer controlled by Margot's threats or Ethan's arrogance, Layla finally breathes easy. Her friends and family notice the change. Layla's strength shines brighter than ever. She no longer needs to prove herself or fight for respect. Her success speaks for itself. She begins to rebuild her life on her own terms, investing in new projects and supporting causes she believes in. While Margot and Ethan struggle to pick up the pieces of their broken world, Layla moves forward. The bitter days of control, insults, and betrayal are behind her. In their place, she finds peace, power, and a future she controls entirely. Her victory is quiet, but complete. The fall of Margot and Ethan is swift. Layla's rise is steady and sure. Justice, at last, has been served. Ethan kept trying to reach Layla. He called her phone over and over, sometimes angry, sometimes begging, and sometimes even crying. But Layla didn't answer. She ignored every message and every call. She knew it was over, and she wasn't going back. Meanwhile, things got worse for Margot and Ethan. They lost their big mansion, the one they used to show off to everyone. The house was sold to pay debts, and now they had to rent a small plain condo. It was a big fall from the life they once lived. No more fancy parties, no more expensive cars, just quiet walls and empty rooms. Layla, on the other hand, was moving up. She bought a beautiful beachfront home in La Jolla, a place she always dreamed of living. It was peaceful, with the sound of waves and fresh ocean air. No in-laws to bother her, no old fights to carry around, just freedom and a fresh start. One day, Layla got a phone call from Lucy, the woman Ethan had been cheating with. Lucy's voice was sharp and almost triumphant. "He's broke," she said plainly. "He lost everything." Layla smiled, feeling the weight lift off her chest. She didn't say much, just quietly ended the call. She didn't need to say anything. The truth was clear. She was free now, free from the control, the lies, and the pain. They were the ones ruined, not her. After all the hurt and betrayal, Layla had won. She had built a life on her own terms, strong and independent. And as she looked out at the ocean, she knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope, peace, and true happiness.